License to Kill. License to Kill was released in 1989 and is directed by Glen. Glen, who also directed For Lives Only, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, and The Living Daylights. And this film once again stars Timothy Dalton as James Bond in his second and ultimately final performance as James Bond. He only played James Bond twice. He played James Bond in this film and The Living Daylights, the film before this. The film also stars Carey Lowell, Talisa Soto with Bencio del Toro and Robert Davi as the big bad Bond villain. And basically, this film has your classic James Bond narrative. It's your classic James Bond narrative with a twist. Because James Bond, yes, he's on another mission to stop the evil big bad guy, but this time, he's on a rogue mission. Because as you see at the start of the film, basically, the big bad Bond villain in this film, played by Robert Davi, he's this big drug dealer. He's been taken into prison at the start of the film. But anyway, as you might have guessed, he escapes out of prison. And in doing so, he orders his men to go and find Felix. Whilst at the same time, though, it's Felix's wedding. We don't know who Felix is. He's a close friend of Bond. It's Felix's wedding day, and as the wedding day is slowly dying down, the big bad guy's men go and find Felix and ultimately injure Felix very badly and kill his new wife. So Bond, once again played by Timothy Dalton in this film, goes and seeks revenge, but in doing so he gets his license to kill revoked by MI6 because he's too close to the subject, because he is a close friend of Felix. But then he still goes on the mission anyway. This time it's a rogue mission. He's doing it without any orders. He's doing it just to get revenge over what these bad guys and what Davi's character did to Felix earlier on in the film. Long story short, in going on the rogue mission, he recruits Carey Lowell's character, who is another secret agent. She goes along with him on the process, and at the same time now, characters complicate the situation. For example, Talisa Soto's character comes in and out of it, and she's quite an interesting character to watch out for. At the same time, though, Bencio del Toro's character comes into it, and he's a henchman in this film, a henchman that you don't really want to get on the wrong side of. Whilst this is all going on, Bond is trying to infiltrate Robert Davi's character's evil organisation, and in doing so, a lot of complications start to occur. So it's your classic Bond narrative with a few twists, and this time, Bond's not just on a mission, he's on a rogue mission, and that's basically the plot of License to Kill. I've tried to explain it as best as possible, but there are a few storylines thrown in there that I haven't really told us about. Bond seeks revenge over what these bad guys have done to Felix. In doing so, he infiltrates this big evil organisation led by Robert Davi's character. Robert Davi is the big bad Bond villain in this film, and that's basically the plot of License to Kill. And you might be wondering yourself, why have I just come back to reviewing Bond films now? Would that be a good question? Well, basically, I reviewed them a while back now. I can't remember when I last did my last Bond review, but it was a Living Daylights film review. I did that a while ago now. But anyway, I haven't done a Bond review in a long time. But that's only because I wanted to do some non-Bond film reviews on this channel. Like I said, I wanted to do some Steven Spielberg reviews. I did a whole lot of Steven Spielberg reviews, and I wanted to focus on some films that I haven't really talked about yet, that I wanted to talk about from like famous directors. But I ultimately did want to get back to my Bond reviews. So here we are, and hopefully I will get to review all the Bond films leading up to No Time to Die, whenever that's meant to come out. Now, honestly, to keep pushing it back, so whenever that film's meant to come out, I'll get to review all the Bond films before No Time to Die is meant to come out. Whenever that film's meant to come out. Now, it keeps getting pushed back. I mean, God knows, it'll probably come out in 2022 at this rate. Going back to the film at hand, License to Kill. I must admit, this is actually quite a nice Bond film to get back into after not watching them for quite a while. And I must admit, one of the big reasons I actually stopped watching Bond films was because they started to get a bit repetitive. With the exception of The Living Daylights, where it did have a lot of differences in them, specifically, you know, Timothy Dalton's performance as James Bond, which I loved in The Living Daylights. With the exception of The Living Daylights, all of them started to get a bit repetitive and a bit like, okay, Bond's gone on a mission, he has to do this, he has to do that, and, you know, he hooks up with a girl at one stage, and then goes and saves the day from the big bad Bond film in that film. And, you know, that's fine. I think the Bond films have been enjoyable so far. I must admit, none of them I really had a big emotional connection to, and they've all started to get a bit repetitive, so I had a bit of a break from them. And I'm going to admit, this one was actually quite nice to get into, because, yes, like I said, it does have your classic James Bond narrative, but this one is done differently, because this one is darker and a bit more gritty, and at the same time, I thought it was more fun than some of the other Bond films I've previously seen. I mean, I personally prefer The Living Daylights, which is Timothy Dalton's film that I did before. It's the only other Bond film that I did. But, saying that, I did enjoy myself quite a lot in License to Kill. But, and that's not to say it didn't have its problems, and I'm going to get into what I think of the strong parts of the film and what I think of the weak parts of the film. But first, let's talk about some of the interesting parts of this film. First of all, this was the first Bond film. I think it might still be the only Bond film. I might be wrong here, but this was the first, I think, only Bond film to get a 15 certificate rating in the UK, which is quite something. And you kind of understand why, because it's got a lot of dark themes in the film. You see a lot of people die. Like, there's a whole dark theme to do with female abuse in the film. Like, there's that Talisa Soto's character in the film actually gets whipped. You actually see that happen a couple of times in the film. At the same time, though, there are actually dark moments in the film. Like I said, you see characters die. Like, don't be wrong, in previous Bond films before, and you see characters, you know, being flung off a bungee jump and into the water or something, like in, you know, like in The Spy Who Loved Me. But in those sort of films, you don't actually see characters physically die. It's just heavily implied. In this film, you see characters dying. There's actually gore there, or it's heavily implied there's a lot of gore there. And I'm not going to go into too much spoilers, but there's one character in particular where you actually see him blow up. Like, he inflates and then he blows up, and you just see quite a bit of gore. Now I think about it, it's one scene, it's moments like that in the film, like, you do actually see characters die, and gore will be around them. Like in the moment when Felix gets badly injured early on in the film, you do actually see quite a bit of gore in there. And there's some dark themes in it, like I said, you know, the whole thing with female abuse. And at the same time, though, you also see characters die, and that's quite dark in the film. And you can kind of tell this wants to be more dark, but at the same time, though, I don't really think it succeeds in that area as well as it could have. For example, one of my issues to do with this film is Timothy Dalton's performance. I love Timothy Dalton as Bond. I really do. I loved his performance in Living Daylights because he was a bit, you know, a bit gritty. He didn't always play by the book of that one, and at the same time, though, he had a bit of funness to him. In this Bond film, he's doing kind of that same performance, but he doesn't really have any fun elements in the film. Like, even Sean Connery or Roger Moore, I mean, Roger Moore's arguably a bit too fun. But the thing is with Sean Connery, he had his serious moments, but then he would always like a bit of a joke in a scene or something. And honestly, Sean Connery was great as Bond. Sadly, he's no longer with us anymore, but he was great as Bond. You know, Roger Moore was still good as well, although there were some moments in Roger Moore films where I felt it was been having a bit too much fun. But with Timothy Dalton, I really enjoyed the performance in Living Daylights. But I was disappointed by the performance in this film because it was just too serious. You didn't really have a moment when he cracked up a joke or anything. I mean, not to say there aren't any funny moments in the film at all. I mean, it isn't just a complete and utter dark Bond film, but the funny moments are more to do with the side characters. Like Q, played once again by, I always forgot to mention Q. Q, once again played by the wonderful Desmond Llewellyn, showed up at one stage, and there was one really funny scene between Talisa Soto's character and Carey Lowell's character, because they're both Bond girls and had that bit of a thing for James Bond. There's one conversation between Talisa Soto's character and Carey Lowell's character, where's James, and then Talisa Soto's character like, oh, I spent the night with him, and he just kept close to Q rolling his eyes like that, and that was a really funny scene in the film, but none of the funny moments in the film really went back to Bond himself. It was all to do with the characters surrounding him, and I just wish Bond had a bit more fun in this film. I mean, again, he's on a revenge bomb, but at the same time, he doesn't really have that much fun, I felt, watching this film. I never really felt that Timothy Dalton's Bond in this film was having that much fun. I mean, Timothy Dalton's performance isn't bad, I'm not saying that, I just wish he laid down on this serious side a bit, had a bit of fun in the film, that's all I'm saying. At the same time, one of my other big issues with this film is the Bond woman. Like, they're good in the film, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Carey Lowell's Bond girl, she's good, a bit forgetful if you must admit, but Talisa Soto's Bond girl is a bit meh, because there's one thing with her early on in the film where basically she's being held down by Bond so she can get answers to where, you know, Robert Davi's character is going and everything, and towards the end of the film, Talisa Soto's character is talking about how much she loves Bond, and I'm just thinking, you're being held down by him early on in the film, and now you love him, what? And it was just like, oh, that was just so sexist and a bit like patronising from us to me, and I didn't really like the way that her Bond girl played a part in the film. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really like Talisa Soto's performance either, and at the same time though, the darker things at the start of the film, to do with, you know, Felix getting injured and the Felix wife dying, aren't really followed through to the end, I must admit, because there's a whole thing at the end where literally Felix and Bond have a phone call, and it's literally like 10 seconds of phone call. It's literally like, Felix asks Bond how he's doing. It's not the other way around. No, Felix, who's badly injured, who's lost his wife at the start of the film, instead Felix rings the phone like, oh, how you doing, Bond? And then Bond's like, oh, I'm doing well. How are you doing, Felix? Oh, I'm doing great. And he seems really happy. Even so, the fact that earlier on in the film, we've just seen him get badly injured and lost his recent wife. Like, we actually see Felix on his wedding date at the start of the film, when he loses his wife. It's his wedding day and the date he loses his wife. And then later in the film, when he's on the phone with Bond, he seems pretty happy. I mean, he's in a hospital bed, but there's nothing really followed up on that. And so the darker things in the film, which are starting off at the start of the film, with the whole thing with Felix getting badly injured and the whole thing with Felix losing his wife, aren't really followed through to the end. And you just get this conversation between Bond and Felix, which is just like, you know, nothing happened through the course of the film. Absolutely nothing. And I wish they followed that dark thing through. I wish, like, Felix was a bit more sad at the end of the film. You know, he has lost his wife and he did get badly injured. But hey, seems alright when he's talking to Bond, and those are my big issues with the film. I just think Timothy Dalton's performance is too serious. I think Talisa Soto's Bond girl is not that well thought through, just as a character, but also the performance isn't particularly great. And at the same time, there's some of the darker elements at the start of the film aren't really followed through for the rest of the film. Saying all that, I do think the film has a lot of things going for it. And I've actually really enjoyed this Bond film. Like I said, it was a nice one to get back into. I mean, there are some really enjoyable moments in the film. Let's talk about the music for a sec, because it's a Bond film review, so I'm going to talk about the music. I think the music for the film is brilliant. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, License to Kill, the song by Gladys Knight. I'm not the biggest fan of that Bond song. I mean, it's fine. I nothing wrong with it, but I just think it's a bit of a weak Bond song. I can't remember the Bond song off the top of my head, but it was fine when it came on the film. But the musical score by Michael Caine, and it is such a fantastic musical score. Honestly, there's lots of moments in it. I mean, I love John Barry. I absolutely love John Barry's scores for these films. I really do. I mean, go back and check out my earlier Bond film reviews if you don't believe me. I really love John Barry's scores for these films. But I must admit, it was kind of nice having someone else score a Bond film. And, you know, when Michael Caine's version of the Bond theme really comes in, it's fantastic. There's one moment in particular, Bond's in this truck, and the truck does a wheelie through some fire. I don't know how it works. It's a Bond film in the end, so logic kind of goes out the window. But there's one scene in particular, Bond does a wheelie on a truck through fire, and you just get this Bond theme going in the background, which is Michael Caine's fantastic variation of the Bond theme, and it's absolutely incredible. And that was the moment I was just like, yep, now I'm watching a Bond film. And honestly, the music of the film helped my liking it a lot, I must admit. There's a lot of scenes of the film where, you know, Bond being an action sequence. When Michael Caine's musical score came on, I was like, oh, now I'm watching a Bond film. And Michael Caine did an absolutely superb job. I really like Michael Caine's score for this film, and I kind of wish he scored more Bond films, because we get this nice energetic feel with the Bond score just alone. At the same time, though, yeah, this Bond has really enjoyable moments, and I kind of like the dark, gritty ideas. I just kind of wish they were followed through. But I like him at the start of the film, because there was a twist going on at the start of the film. I was thinking, oh, how's this going to result for the rest of the film? The whole thing about Felix getting injured and Felix wiped out. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But Bond hasn't done that up to this point. Then this didn't follow that through. But the film did have some really good villains. I really like Bencio del Toro in this role. I think this is one of his first roles that he did, and he played one of these henchmen that worked for Robert Davi's characters in the film, and he's really good. You kind of see where that, you know, that sort of character that he plays in the films nowadays kind of originated from this character in this Bond film. I must admit, there was a couple of moments with Bencio del Toro, you don't want to get on the wrong side of him, to say the least, and he was really good in the film. At the same time, I really like Robert Davi as a Bond villain in this film. He's actually really good in this film, and I really like his performance. And it's got a fantastic truck chase at the end. It reminded me of the truck chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's not a criticism. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love that truck chase in that film. And when we got to the truck chase in the third act of this film, I was like, yeah, now you're kind of pulling off some of the strings and over adventure films, which I like quite a lot. And ultimately, I like License to Kill. I don't love it, but I like it. Although I do think some Bonds are better, and although I personally prefer The Living Daylights because I think it has more of an enjoyable Timothy Dalton performance, ultimately, I do really like License to Kill, and I would definitely watch it again. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that License to Kill, I think it's a really enjoyable Bond film and a good one to get back into. I'm going to give it, I'm going to say it's about 7.5 out of 10. I mean, I enjoyed this film for the most part. It does have its problems, and I can see why people might dislike this film, but personally, I had a really enjoyable time with it. And there were some moments in the film I'd be like, but at the same time though, when you have a good Bond henchman, played by the one only Bencio del Toro, Academy Award winner Bencio del Toro, before he really hit the big screen properly, he plays a fantastic henchman in the film, and when you have his performance, and you have Robert Davi as a big bad guy, I mean, you have all these really fun moments, and the fantastic score by Michael Caine, all the things that are wrong with the film, you just kind of sit away, you just kind of sit there and go, yep, I'm watching a Bond film, and I'm really enjoying it. That's how I felt through License to Kill. By no means is it the best Bond film, and like I said, I don't even think it's Timothy Dalton's best, and Timothy Dalton only did 2 Bond films, but what it is enjoyable and a lot of fun, and it was a good Bond to get back into. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that License to Kill is a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of License to Kill? Did you hate it, or have you just not watched it? If not, why not? Please do comment down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, back to reviewing Bond now. So look forward to my next James Bond review, which will be Pierce Brosnan first, which is GoldenEye. So look forward to my review of GoldenEye coming very, very soon on this channel. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching. If you haven't yet, please do click down below and like subscribe on the video, and look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews coming very, very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!